Did you know that I met God in Fredericksburg, Virginia? On February 27th, 2022, I witnessed something that I would never forget. I watched from my pew as Father Will Dickinson stood in front of the congregation of St. George's and preached on the transfiguration of Christ on the mountain. You guys may have heard that one. To my trans and non-binary siblings, he said, "Beloved of God, look to the gospel today and see a God who is transfigured." And as I sat there, tears streaming down my face, completely frozen, never having believed that I would hear such words spoken in a church, I saw God in the face of my friend. That day, I met God in pew 93. It was approximately 1 hour after the house's first craft show. I sat in Father Ethan's office, face in my hands, legs pulled up to my chest, and 15 minutes into a full-blown breakdown over being accidentally misgendered earlier in the afternoon. How could God do this to me? I asked through tears. If God really loved me, she wouldn't have made me trans. I lifted up my arm and pointed at him and said, "Would you do that to someone you loved?" And at the end of my shaking finger, in the face of my friend, I saw God. And he said, "I think your queerness is beautiful." I met God during a breakdown at the house. I once got an Instagram notification on my phone from someone I had never talked to before. "I've seen you on the house's Instagram. Do you want to hang out with me this weekend?" I met God at a Saturday morning farmer's market. I got a FaceTime call out of the blue at 11 p.m. on a weeknight. I picked up and was met with tears. "I'm so sad and I need you to come get me." 25 minutes later, we were in my car and headed for a safe place to sit for a while. I met God in the passenger seat of my Chevy Malibu. I picked up the phone and dialed the number written on the scrap of paper in my shaking hand. "Hey, Stinky," I heard from the other end of the line. "How are you holding up?" I took a deep breath. I'm having a really hard time. I met God on my first night of a week-long stay in a mental health crisis center. I got in the passenger seat and buckled myself in. We had spoken maybe 3 times, but she offered to drive me 30 minutes south to a house show we were both invited to. She played me her favorite band on the way there. I met God while listening to auto art on Route 1 South. And I'm not saying that my dear friend Emma James is God. But what I am saying is that God chose to show God's true self in the face of a friend up on that mountaintop. Exactly. Instead of coming down to earth as an inconceivable image of divine holiness, God came down here as a guy, as a friend, someone who could look at the 3 men he brought up there with him and say, "Hey, it's just me. You don't have to be scared." Imagine the type of friendship that can take the literal fear of God out of you with just a few gentle words. With every "I love you," every "this made me think of you," every "I'm sorry" and "I forgive you," somewhere within the voice of my friend, I catch a glimpse of the divine. God showing God's self, close enough to touch. So when you sit down at the table to play a board game, knowing full well they paid only half attention to the directions, when you're standing in line with them for a roller coaster in 95-degree weather, when they call out of class for a family emergency because, and I quote, "You're my family too, and you needed me." When you receive a text at 10 p.m. on a Thursday night saying, "Do you want to hear about this thing I'm excited about?" Every kiss blown and caught, and every time you are loved to the moon and back. I meet God over and over and over again. Because, could you think of a more special way to talk to God than over a bowl of pasta at the Olive Garden? God came down here as a person, a person who seeked out and befriended the untouchables, the outcasts, the sinners, the least of these, the ones thrown under the bus at every turn because we were the easiest to throw away. So, to my trans and non-binary siblings, beloved of God, look to the gospel today to see a God who will love you from up close in every moment. Because what is the love of a friend, if not the love of God? Okay,